This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So boxing always has, and unfortunately probably always will, be under scrutiny for its poor refereeing, its poor judging, meaning that there's so many fights happen around the world where fighters will get a decision where maybe they didn't deserve the decision in certain bouts. And of course, it's usually favourable to the home fighter. And I suppose the argument is that they go through like a training camp. Of course, they spend money on their training camp, whether it be a 6-week, a 8-week, a 12-week, even a 16-week training camp, to get to the fight, perform how they should be performing, and not get the result. And it's very unfair. Of course, people see it as messing with their livelihood and all other kinds of things. And it's bad. It's terrible. It really is. And maybe that's for another video. But imagine being an amateur where essentially you've had a 4-year training camp, because everything that you do in the 4 years between one Olympic Games and the next one, you pretty much have to look at it as a training camp, don't you? It's a 4-year long training camp where you have to go through everything to firstly qualify for the Olympics and of course perform when your opportunity is given. So imagine going through 4 years, you perform, you get the win, the world knows that you won, but the result goes the other way. Imagine how heartbreaking that is. Because it's not like with, say, professional boxing, you could petition for a rematch and then a couple of months later you get your rematch. In the Olympics, you're waiting, 4 years? It's monumentally unfair. Of course it is. Now, when it comes to, say, this particular Olympics, Tokyo 2021, do you realise how close it was to not having boxing participate in this year's Olympic Games? Now, I did a video on this probably 2 years ago where the Olympic Committee were discussing whether or not to have boxing participate at the Olympics due to the corruption that's been going on behind the scenes. In fact, one of the organisations who's responsible for appointing the judges and the referees and everything have been banned or at least suspended from this year's Olympic Games. So the committee that's going to be overseeing the Olympic Games in this year is new. As far as I'm aware, it is anyway. And that was all down to a guy called Richard McLaren, where Richard McLaren, he was investigating predominantly the Russian Federation, where there's so many fighters who fell under the doping regulations and certain results were quite clearly robberies. Arguably, is it some kind of criminal activity going on? Arguably, okay. So he's a guy who's been investigating all of that and he's had some very good results from it. But he's now been appointed to oversee the 2016 boxing results. Now, it won't just be boxing. I'm sure he'll be looking at many other things as well. But boxing is the focal point because there seems to be more rogue judging and rogue refereeing than any other sport during the Olympic Games. So Rio 2016 is now his responsibility to look through and find any irregularities. And of course, I suppose the biggest talking point from 2016 will be the bantamweight contest. A lot of you will remember that for Irishman Michael Conlan, where he took on Russian Vladimir Nikitin, where he absolutely destroyed Nikitin, battered him, beat him to a bloody pulp. But yet, Michael Conlan didn't win the fight. The judges ruled it in favour of the Russian. I mean, talk about blatant robbery, okay? But such was the beating that Nikitin received, where he was supposed to go to the semi-final because, of course, their fight was in the quarterfinals. Nikitin progressed to the semi-finals. He couldn't participate due to his injuries. So, of course, he got awarded the bronze medal. The semi-finalists, they both get a minimum of a bronze medal, okay? Where Michael Conlan, he didn't even get that, even though he should have done. So really, Michael Conlan should have got a minimum, a bronze medal. Now, with Richard McLaren investigating this particular bout, and of course other ones, of course, there's going to be talking points about Joyce and Tony Yoka, where a lot of people feel that Tony Yoka should not have got the decision, but of course he did, where Tony Yoka got the gold and Joyce got the silver at super heavyweight. But Michael Conlan one seems to be the talking point for a lot of people. Of course, there's going to be other bouts in that as well. But Michael Conlan, what will happen now? In fact, he turned professional because he'd had enough of it. Of course, he done very well at the 2012 Olympic Games in London. So, of course, he waited another 4 years only to get robbed. To get blatantly robbed. So, maybe Michael Conlan will now be awarded the bronze medal. Maybe Nicktin will have his bronze medal rescinded from him. Again, you could look at it and say, but that's unfair on Nicktin because he probably wasn't even involved. He probably wasn't even aware of everything that happened. And that's a very real possibility. But ultimately, it was that bad, and the doping has been that bad as well, that this Richard McLaren, he's ruled that any Russian athlete at this year's Olympic Games cannot fight under the Russian flag. In fact, they're going to be fighting under the Russian Olympic Committee. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. Does that mean if any of these athletes, if they win a medal, that they're not going to have their national anthem played? I don't know. I don't know how much of a punishment that really is. I don't know. But to award Michael Conlan the bronze, of course, there's always going to be the argument to say, well, Michael Conlan, he was the world number one, so should it not be a case of he should be awarded the gold medal? That's how far some people will take it, but I don't think it's going to go that far. I think that Michael Conlan may well get awarded the bronze medal. Now, would that be compensation enough? For some people, yes. For some people, no. But either way, I mean, that seems to be what's going to be going on, where the Russians, they can't compete under their Russian flag. They're going to be competing under the Russian Olympic Committee. Richard McLaren, he's going to be looking at all kinds of things from Rio 2016. Again, how deep does the rabbit hole go? What other sports were there that were poor judging? How many of those involved Russia? Is he then, once 2016 is all done and dusted, is he then going to look back at 2012, 2008, 2004, 2000 and so forth and so forth? How far are they really going to go? It's difficult to say. But one thing I think is fair to say for this particular Olympics now, with everything being under scrutiny, is that the judging, the refereeing, I would expect them to be A-class standard this year. There should be far less results go against the grain because they know that they're going to be watched. They're going to be scrutinized highly. They're going to be investigated, which is a good thing. And I do feel that the professional game does need very similar, where it needs somebody to overlook certain results. What shows are they on? Which referees and judges are they? Are they involved in the British Box Board of Control? Because for all intents and purposes, you've got to say the British Box Board of Control, there's been a lot of poor refereeing, a lot of poor judging, but they have nobody to answer to. Who's going to sort out the British Box Board of Control? No, they don't answer to anybody. But at least with the Olympics, there are committees, there are people who can investigate it. And if push comes to shove, if any wrongdoings happen in this year's Olympics, especially with the boxing, I would fully expect 2024 Paris to not have boxing in its Olympic Games. Could you imagine that? Olympics with no boxing? Doesn't bear thinking about, does it? Really doesn't. So either way, hopefully this year in Tokyo, the judges score it fairly. Hopefully the referee shows impartiality. Hopefully, right? Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. That's the news. Maybe Michael Conlan is going to get a bronze medal out of it. Maybe Joyce is going to get his gold medal overturned as well. Or his silver medal turned into a gold, I should say. So anyway, drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all in the next video.